A man getting bit by an alligator and he screams.
Okay, quiet. Hey, quiet.
Sit down, towards me.
Ow! No, not an owl. A real scream of pain.
Oh man, day 7.
That's the last day. This is the last driving while screaming.
The last one until,
of this year.
Until we probably hit Oak Cliff, and we can drive and scream at Oak Cliff.
We can
right?
drive and scream all we need to when we hit Oak Cliff.
So yeah, so we done diffed it, and it's all over. And I'm gonna say a good festival, but I am exhausted.
Yes.
And I'm glad that I don't have to do Films Diff for a little while. But thank you to let's just say thank you to Diff for the press passes, and thank you to all the filmmakers that have provided screeners. We will still continue Diff. We will still continue diffing. You're going to hear our interviews.
Diff After Dark. No, Diff continues.
Yes.
Diff, the supplemental materials.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
Diff, the next chapter.
We keep screaming.
Diff do screams?
Do scream diffs.
Am I going this way or that way?
You're going to go to Victory, so
This is Victory.
It's not telling me when. Yeah, so just take a left, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. It's good.
And this continues our trend of doing traffic reports, directions, while we record the podcast. And of course, I just keep those.
And then you're going to turn. You're going to turn right on Lamar, which is in 450 feet.
Right.
And then you're going to that'll take you to the highway.
That'll take us to.
And to getting on the highway, and then you should be able to know where you're going from there.
We would think.
But yeah, we have a lot more going on after this. We have a lot more. We have more films to see. We've got more interviews to do, and of course, we'll start posting our interviews. You're going to take a left. There's 35 East South. But we did essentially 2 films today. We did sneak in a screening of Thunderbolts, which is not a Diff movie, but I would highly recommend you don't go see it.
Thunderbolts doesn't diff.
Thunderbolts does not do Diff. And, I mean, look, we are
part of the Pewletariat,
as we've always said, and we are Pew completists.
Yes. Have you watched We Live in Time yet?
I have not.
So you are not as a completist as I am, because I had to sit through that. And this, and Thunderbolts.
And you know, not that this is this is driving while screaming for after Diff, so this is not a Diff film, but I will say, Pew, cute as ever, really, really terrible film. Only a handful of things that are worthwhile in this, and for the most part, it is just another middling, disappointing, do-nothing Marvel film.
I thought it was even worse.
It was really, really boring. And so let's not talk about it. We did talk about 2 films today. We had an interview with Evan Matthews, right? Is it
Evan
Matthews?
Yes.
Evan Matthews, the director of Motherland. And then we wrapped up our festival with a screening of Barron's Cove, and we did not stick around for the Q&A afterwards because 1, we're tired, and 2, it was not very good.
We didn't like it.
Yeah,
we didn't like it. And look, but here's can I just say real quick?
Yes.
That is really the only time we've said that this festival.
True.
And we've watched a lot of stuff.
Black Spines we didn't care for.
Okay.
And that we did kind of, or at least I kind of shit on that one, but
I was kinder.
But yes, that one I did not care for, but I was not as angry as I am about. So let's just get into Barron's Cove.
You want to get into Barron's Cove?
We'll do them out of order, right?
Okay. Yeah. So this is a film about the death of a young boy and the father seeking revenge on who he believes is the young boy's, or who he believes is responsible for the young boy's death, his son's death. And so he kidnaps the son of a man running for state senator, who appears to be part of a political dynasty in whatever state we're in. I'm not sure where we are.
I thought we were in, like, I don't know.
Well, there's like a Monroe County everywhere, right?
Right, yeah.
So, and then there's a border. So I don't know if we're like in Minnesota.
Yeah,
because then we've got weird accents, right? I mean, so we've got construction schemes, and we've got like, you know, mob guys with.
This movie has a little bit of everything, even though it has nothing going on.
Right. So he kidnaps the boy.
Oh, wait. So, okay. So I think we're jumping ahead. We start off and we follow the father is our quote-unquote protagonist throughout this film.
Right.
Our
anti-hero.
Right. We start out and he's a mafia rough man. He's an enforcer, and we see him on this construction site, and basically given the business to some people that should be buying steel only from them.
Right, yeah, they've shaken down like a firm that, they have an exclusive contract with, and they're doing surprise inspections to make sure that they are not buying from anyone else.
And because the mob is timely, this ruffian can't get to his son's pickup time. Right. And as it happens, if you do not pick up your kid from school on time, they will get run over by a train.
This is true. This is, I think, in the handbook. Right? This is like, because look, this kid goes to private school as well, and so there are procedures for picking up your kid from whatever bus stop it is. And I'm sure, right, that wherever that bus stop, whatever HOA controls that bus stop, would have told
the mother
Caleb, right, that look, if you are not here within a certain amount of time, there is a kind of peril to your son being run over by a train.
Can we talk a little bit about the weird inclusivity part where they got married young and now she is in a lesbian relationship, which is a completely bizarre, just plot point that just seems to be thrown in there for no reason whatsoever.
Right, I guess, I kind of think they were thinking, well, of course they're divorced. And instead of having her remarry to a man, she's going to remarry a woman.
Right.
It's 2025 after all. That's what people do. That's what kids do now.
So poor, what was the stupid kid's name who got killed? Elijah?
Wait. We didn't even meet Barron.
Oh, Barron. Yeah. True.
It's in the title of the movie.
Whoopsie. It was
We
Barron.
didn't even meet Barron. We get nothing about Barron.
Right. He's just tied up. He's tied up to the train tracks, and they try to untie him, and then he gets run over. And then the parents are grief-stricken, and then we meet Elijah, who is the good son, basically.
Ethan.
Yeah, Ethan, thank you. Why did I get Elijah?
I don't know.
We probably saw a movie with the name of Elijah in it at some point this week.
Well, I think
So, Ethan is this blonde-head, cherubic kind of bad boy.
Sociopath.
Right. Who's putting ants in
girls' backpacks.
He sticks his tongue out at a grieving father. So you absolutely know this kid's a piece of shit.
Right.
And so the father is grief-stricken and continues to confront this little boy, chases him out of the school. The kid gets hit by a car. And then he picks him up in this van. He picks him up, puts him in a van, and runs away. So that he kidnaps this kid in order to get the truth out of him, because this kid, Ethan, has told the cops that it was that Barron killed himself, threw himself on the train tracks, and so
because his home life was so terrible.
His home life was terrible, and he didn't want to be around his dad anymore, and all of the political conspiracy going on allowed this to also then happen. The cops saw this as a way to get in good with the state senator, so that he can eventually become the mayor. This movie's so goddamn convoluted.
The police chief's going to be the mayor.
Right, that's what I said. Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Okay. Yeah, because the guy running for state senator is like the DA, and he's best friends with the police chief.
Right. Yeah,
there's no conflict of interest going on in this film ever at all.
But so as we go through the film, the film actually makes you want the 10-year-old boy to get hurt at some point.
You're like, yeah, fucking burn his hand with a blowtorch. Who cares? And
then he can't, So and then there's a turn where, we find out that Ethan is being abused.
Yeah.
and that
the adoption was just for a political stunt.
right.
Right? The Hamish Linklater, who plays the state senator wannabe, is the son of the state governor, and the state governor was like, you know what you should do for your political future? Adopt a kid.
Yeah, and so they did that, and evidently he just
Just use him as a punching bag.
then he just beats the shit out of him.
Yeah.
But I mean, we don't really ever see that, and it's such a weird thing to throw in. And then so now we feel bad for Ethan, and now we want him to get saved. And he also then indicates that his dad is the one who killed Barron.
Yeah. Well, we never. Here's the other thing: we never believed Ethan ever for once. Never, ever.
Because one, they show us that picture, and the picture doesn't make sense if Ethan's not the one who's actually killed Barron.
I know.
Right, so you
just ruin that. I mean,
right. So there's
the red herrings just don't work at that point.
Right, and then there's just red herring after red herring after red herring, and false ending after false ending. I mean, it's just, or just plot twist after plot twist after, and everyone is acting as if they're in a movie of the week.
Yeah.
I think Brittany Snow's the one who comes off the best. Stephen Lang is just trying to chew scenery and and the main, I don't know the main actor's name.
I don't either.
But he starts acting one way, and that is the same way his character is the entire time. He's basically just sweaty faced, spittle coming out of his mouth, and when he's sad he's that way. Yeah. When he's angry he's that way. Yeah. When he's having lunch he's that way.
He's tough guy yelling.
Tough guy crying, right? Tough guy getting the shit beat out of him.
But it's all the same variation on the theme.
And to top it all off, so we go through all of this. This is a 2-hour movie, and by the hour mark, I was like, "Fuck, we get a long way to go for this."
Yeah,
it's not quite 2 hours. It's a little under, and and then it ends with him about to be killed by some police conspiracy.
By the mobsters, yeah.
And then we see him and Barron reunite in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, we get but we get all the tropes in this, don't we? We get the new cop in town, right? Who's not corrupt and is going to do things by the book. He's going to find out the truth,
right?
And we get, of course, then the corrupt police chief, in bed with these other guys. We've got mobsters who have inside men in the police force. But here's the thing, that seems to be a pretty big kind of mob group for a town that keeps talking about how small it is.
Right.
Right? I mean,
yeah, the mob has more men on it than the police
than the force does, right?
Yeah.
Right, and more resources, and so it's just kind of weird.
Also, but until we find out that the mob is already kind of entrenched with the local police force, none of it really makes sense. And also, you'd think that for a state senator who, is beating his son, he wouldn't let him run around with the kid whose dad is in the mob. You would think that guy...
all these guys have to know each other.
Right, yes.
There's no way that they don't know each other. Right? I mean, the corrupt politicians are going to know the corrupt mob guys. I mean, right. And mob guys are, by definition, I guess, corrupt, right?
And they're just so cookie cutter.
So who has smaller ambitions? The small-time state senator or the small-time mobster?
Yeah,
just will not leave this tiny town.
Right. That's hoping that they'll vote him in, because he doesn't really go out and campaign anywhere else. I think it's all.
No, he sets up at the town square,
and also
nobody shows up.
Right. And how is he going to enforce all of these construction, these local ordinances and local construction programs once he's a state senator? Right. Anyway, but that's just nitpicking for nitpicking's sake. This movie is not good at all. It's way too long. It's way too stupid. And it thinks it's clever.
Well, but it's just cliche.
And it
really is. I hate saying this.
I don't.
I try to be nicer when we do the driving and screaming and.
we were shitty last year. We can be shitty this year.
I know. But
Look, boy, the filmmaker.
At least I'm being honest, right?
The filmmaker was in attendance. But this is not a film that I have any interest in really talking about. Like, there's not because the
it's
question,
weird that you stood up and just went boo.
right, just like
right before you left. That was weird.
Double fingering it. There's no what are the questions going to come out of this? I know. There's no interesting themes in this movie. There's
are you into killing kids? What's up with that?
It's also just had this have never turned to where Ethan is good. I just this abuse thing. And but him still being this manipulator, you can't have it both ways.
I know.
And this film tries to do so much, and it tries to keep you on your toes. But I just feel like
you can see everything.
Right. Right. And I just don't care. It's way too long. This for a pot boiler sitting at an hour and 20, or an hour. Almost 2 hours long. You're just like, ugh.
Also, not to be mean to kid actors, and I think that Ethan was just kind of miscast.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he's charming enough, just as a... And I mean, look, I understand it's hard to be charming, period. But it's probably harder for a kid to be charming, right, on command. But he's not... You just never really warm up to this kid on screen. And I think, you have to, if you're going to have a character who's always spinning stories that aren't true, right? You need to, look into this kid's eyes and see something soft and see something whatever. But you're just never taken. You're never taken in by any of his... scheming, really.
Yeah, and like I said, the plot holes just continue to add up and add up and add up. Like the fact that the lead detective wouldn't have seen that tape of the of the other kid's confessions.
That would have actually happened.
That would have come along extremely early. This you have to think that. Obviously the state senator's pretending to care about Ethan to get it back because for political reasons.
Right, of course.
But also, once you're tied into the mob, he seems like he's trying way too hard to just let the mob do what the mob do. Right? I mean,
mob's gonna mob.
Right. To also then involve the cops simply doesn't make sense in this case. It just
way too many gear spinning, right?
And also, if the cops have all of these, you wouldn't put your earnest, newly detective on this case.
Right.
This is not,
Right. Johnny, you're going to sit this one out.
Right. We got another case for you.
It's okay. We got something else. We're not going to let you get halfway invested and then...
Right.
And also, where did the UFO come from in this movie? I was just joking because there's...
Right, yeah.
We were just talking about how many different things, so that joke didn't work.
There's I was no, because you threw me, because I was just wait a minute, did I miss something? Because I definitely could have.
There was an alien element in
when
this?
I was rolling my eyes so hard that I might have missed
the spaceman that came down. It turns out Ethan was an alien. This is how they play on his planet. They tie each other to railroad tracks.
It just feels like this movie just didn't have in any idea of where it wanted to go.
No.
It had and this idea of, okay, well, I've got this kid who gets killed on this train track and we don't know who it is. But like I said, as soon as you introduce that picture, then you know who it is, right?
Yeah. And also, they opened the film with it.
Right. So, true. Right.
Which is fine, right? But then don't try to trick us into something else. Let us know what's going on and let us just watch the kid try and find his way out of this shit. You know?
Right. And okay, you're what are you? This film weirdly tries to skirt the line between light and dark. With this idea that Ethan's going to get the help that he needs.
Yeah.
But our anti-hero is going to get murdered.
Right. So, because in a weird way, and I guess not, in a weird way, right, the anti-hero who wants vengeance, right, who wants revenge, goes back and saves the kid.
Right.
He goes back to actually save the kid.
Right. And then
ends up getting murdered. So good job by the detective who's I'll protect you. I'll try to protect you as much as I can. Well, that lasted all of 5 minutes.
Right.
He got released from the hospital and then got murdered in an alley, in a fucking alley.
And how are they going to explain that?
Yeah. Yeah. Oops.
Like, this is so, like...
Well, and like the two cops just got up and like walked out of the car. Like,
Right, so
they're
clearly,
gonna have to.
well, they're in on it, but yes.
No, I know they're in on it, but like they're gonna have to go back to work, right?
Right.
I'm sure not everybody's in on it.
And they got to clean up the car, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like it's
right. So they're gonna be like, yeah, we lost him. Why is there blood all over the back seat?
And that would be one of these things. Like, if you, I kept thinking that, okay, so clearly Ethan's got to be okay in this, like, and maybe that the other kid was somehow like kind of framing Ethan in this case, or that it was somehow like weirdly planted, but as when he kidnaps Ethan, Ethan's such a heel that like, and so like so full of piss and vinegar.
That's what I mean,
like,
he's so unlikable.
Right. It's like, I don't care. That's a stick figure. That's not me. And what are you gonna do? And like,
right.
and this and look, this movie takes things that are way too serious for it to take, and cannot portray them properly.
Right.
Right. This idea of about a kid who's been abused, being an asshole, like, and fighting back and like lashing out. There's stuff there. There's ways to portray that, and in this case, it's just ugly.
Right. I mean, a damaged kid doing damage, right? But they don't. And
if you're gonna do it ugly, then make Ethan make him, like I said, make him the good son in this case. Like, make him. We need to talk about Kevin. We need to make him this like really unlikable, bad guy. And that would be at least kind of subversive in a weird way, right?
I just now understood what you meant when you said good son earlier.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Because like at the very beginning, you're like, in our good son, and I'm like, wait a minute. But then I understood. Yeah.
It's the name of Macaulay Culkin.
No, I know. That's like, it just took. I just had to hear it twice.
So when you see Barron's Cove inevitably on Amazon streaming, just walk on by. Just let it go. We invite, like, if there's any film that comes out of DIFF, that would be the one I would say stay far away from. And here's the thing: there's going to be people who like it.
Yeah,
there'll be people who like it.
I'm glad you enjoy it.
It's one of those movies that is a
crowd pleaser.
Well, no, it'll sit in like that 5.1 range on IMDb.
Yeah.
And we just and it's that type of film that's insultingly mid, and like it's proficient in its filmmaking techniques.
Sure. Yes.
Like, it doesn't look ugly.
No.
I think there are some actors that kind of are okay in this. I mean, I don't think they're all bad.
No.
But this just, I mean, it's all, but like I said, with all the tropes and with everything else, and how it adds up, like I said, it is just,
it's
ultimately really insulting, and like, it's just tough. Kind of bleh.
Yeah, it's tough. All right.
And the end is just a huge fuck you.
Like, why do we have to do that? Why do we have to really just completely surrender to sentimentality?
Right, when your movie hasn't been about that at all.
Right.
Like,
it's so sappy and saccharine, and
like, at no point are we supposed to believe that this guy, I mean, like, he professes to, but he's a piece of shit father too. He professes to love his son, but I mean, like, right, but he misses time with him so he can go beat up, people for his mob job.
Right. I mean, he's got the mob boss is his uncle, and what a piece of shit uncle.
Right.
But I mean, and the uncle's like, you're a piece of shit father, and it's like, well, you're the one who kind of makes him miss some of this shit. So like, maybe you should take some responsibility as well. Right. But
by this time, Barron was already dead. It didn't really matter.
I know. But he could have been like, hey, that's on me. I'm really sorry that I made you go beat the shit out of that guy when you told me that you really needed to be with your family. Right.
What a way to like kill somebody. Like, I mean, like, for a 10-year-old, like, let's go tie a kid to the train tracks.
That's fucked up.
And then try to untie him as the train's actually coming.
He wasn't trying that hard.
He did stand up and look at the train quite a bit.
And then kind of look down.
Right. I did good nods, though.
I know.
All right, let's talk about Motherland.
Yeah, let's talk about Motherland. So, but I mean, first we had a really nice chat with Evan Matthews, who was really generous with his time and with his I don't know, information, right?
Yeah,
with his sharing of stories and with his, I mean, with sharing his personal experience as well, and how he felt about making this film and why he felt that he was the right choice to make this film.
So Motherland is about this dystopian alternative timeline where
this isn't a Marvel movie.
right. This is Earth 632. I don't know. And we are in somewhat of a socio-fascist society that is, well, or at the very least, I would say, and again, I think you may be able to take something away from me. There's at least a portion of the country that is fallen under this kind of cult-like rule of this matron who has given a mantra of that the state will remove the burden of raising children,
remove the burden of motherhood and marriage,
right?
So that you can be free.
And so we're 100 years into this reign, and we are then kind of put and placed in this world where we have basically three protagonists, but really, I guess just I don't know how you really.
Yeah, I would say three.
Yeah,
you have Holland Taylor, whose name I think is Tony. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe so.
And then Cora, and then Zinnia. So we have like three generations.
Right.
Right. So we have like an older matriarch, and then Cora would be what, like in her 40s?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
and then Zinnia, who would be like in her early 20s.
And so we see all of these. So the children or the young adults are all trying to vie for. Just go up to Oakland.
Oh.
I don't know why this is closed, but they're all trying to vie for spots and placement. Future placement. So they're all being educated. They're all being controlled to a certain extent. They're all being indoctrinated to take part in this future society, and some of them who are the best rule followers are placed on an honor roll and given special consideration within the Motherland.
Because Cora's job is a scorekeeper, and so she watches everybody and then gives them points when they do, I don't know, proper things.
Right. When they say the word of the day, or
when they inform on a colleague.
Right.
When they don't snitch on a colleague who litters, you don't get a point. I mean, yeah, it's kind of fucked up. I mean, it's really fucked up, but it's also fascinating.
Right.
I think it's fascinating how that part like really sort of amps up the idea of competition.
Yes.
And then how that, of course, forces people to act and behave and talk in a certain way, right? In a way that is conducive to propping up the state even more. But of course, you're free.
Right. You're free to have sex with whoever you want, but you're not free to marry. You're not free. And
right.
we're removing that burden from you. There's no reason. There's no need to do so.
Right.
And then if you happen to get pregnant, there is no need to raise that child. The state will do it for you. The Cora is the scorekeeper is our middle focus, and she thinks that Zinnia is her child, and you're not allowed to see your children when they're born, but she did get a glimpse of her, and
there's a birthmark on her
forehead. And then this is a story of her trying to protect Zinnia from all the things that the fascist state is pushing her towards, which is again also kind of a forced motherhood in this case. Well, a forced birth. Right. And just compliance within these places. And of course, Cora starts to see the seams, fray in this society as friends of hers start going through postpartum depression. And then of course she can see that the things that were put up on her, how that'll affect Zinnia and how she wants to protect her from that. And of course she starts to kind of wander out and break free from her own bonds and start to figure out that there's more to the story. Obviously, this happens a lot in these dystopian stories, but there's more to the story than what the state is telling you, and she starts to investigate more at where it can be dangerous to herself. And this is and then not to give anything away, but that's the main gist of the story.
Right.
And then we follow Zinnia and her and her journey, and then Taylor, Tony,
Right.
in as being the enforcer, not the enforcer,
But she's like the matriarch of this area, right?
Who kind of keeps everybody in line and kind of guides.
Yeah.
Is the
She's the most
guiding-
politically powerful as well, and ambitious. I would
Right,
say.
because we get to that moment at the beginning of the film where she's on the phone with someone, and she seems like she's getting placement somewhere else,
Mhm.
or at least a moving up in rank kind of thing. And then she has to keep all of this in line. So I think it's a very interesting looking film. I think there's a lot of I think this film has a lot of details. I think this film begs to be seen multiple times. I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of world building here. Like we said before, I think there's a lot of tropes that are involved that may detract a little bit. I don't know if it does enough to separate itself from a lot of the other dystopian type films, but I do think this is a very interesting world that they built. I think these ideas. I will say this, like in the sense of, it's probably difficult to separate yourself from this dystopia to this dystopia to this dystopia, but I do think the ideas here that we're talking about are particularly interesting in the eugenics area, and this idea of forced pairings, forced births, and this kind of fascist state that reigns over this. I think especially as we talk about women's autonomy and feminism just as a whole, I think this movie's got a lot to say. So I think that's where this movie really stands out.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think like watching it, I think I'll get more enjoyment the third, fourth, fifth time I watch this than the first time. Which is not to say that it wasn't enjoyable. I'm just saying
There's a lot to pick up.
There's a lot
subsequent viewings.
Yeah, and it's a quick 96 minutes or so, and it's a dense film, and I think there's so many pieces that you want to investigate that, like, I think that's a good thing, right? For a film to have. So
yeah, I think one of the ways that this dystopian film separates itself from others is the matriarchal aspect of it.
Right.
Because I think a lot of dystopian films and a lot of fascist regimes that we are used to, or historically we know, are run by men, right? Look, we live in a patriarchal system, and so this is something that's new, that's interesting, that adds a layer to that kind of dystopia. So I like that. I also like that it kind of really makes you examine feminism and freedom and female bodily autonomy kind of through this lens of that subversion.
right.
So that I think was really interesting. I mentioned this earlier, as we talked to Evan, but the specificity of language in this world is fascinating. Right? It is really interesting how they talk in specific ways, right? A kind of like stilted and proper way, but then the way they use, like, the word of the day, which we open up with like imperative.
Yeah,
And the way
imperative,
that they
and then
work that into conversations as a way of showing that they are
compliant.
in support, right? To be trusted. So I really enjoyed that aspect of the film.
Yeah, this idea of especially like indoctrinating the youth in order to and to get them excited about their workaday lives that will happen.
Being told what to do,
Right.
under the guise of freedom. But this is something that this film brings up that I find so kind of parallel to our society, and that's this idea of freedom, right? This idea of freedom as dictated by the state. Right. So we've got all these people and politicians running around screaming about freedom, right? And it's been heightened for the past, 5-7 years, really.
Sure.
About like, we're going to be free again, and I am free to do what I want. You can't take away my freedom. And like, well, look, no one's trying to, but also a lot of this freedom is an illusion to begin with. And a lot of the freedom that you're clamoring for is just the stuff that like people up at the top are telling you that you can do, right? You can't do everything you... That's the other thing, is that none of us, well, I don't want to say none of us, but those, again, clamoring for this idea of freedom don't understand how hyper-dependent we are on each other and on the state and on the government. I mean, again, we don't pave our own fucking roads, right?
Right.
We don't build our own fucking cars. Most of us don't hunt and then eat what we hunt. So, to talk about a lot of this, like, we can just do whatever we want and I'm perfectly capable to just do whatever I want. Well, that's bullshit. I mean, it just is. Sorry.
So you're saying we live in the motherland right now, is what you're saying?
Well, no, kind of. Right? I mean, kind of. I do think that. I do think that this kind of jumping up and down and saying we're a democracy. Oh, okay, but like.
Well, that's the word of the day. So
yeah, that's why I'm working the conversation. Right.
I'm keeping score.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I really do want to move up in the Wilhelm organization.
We'll see. We'll see if you make the honor roll. When it comes time to tally the scores, we'll see where you land.
I made the dean's list. I graduated cum laude. So I'm fucking serious. But no, I mean, look, I think a lot of political systems that purport to be a kind of democracy or any kind of freedom wise is a lot of smoke and mirrors. So
yeah,
it's
agreed.
Not dissimilar to what we're seeing on screen with Motherland. So
yeah,
I did see like quite a bit of parallels to our own, I think, contemporary politics.
Yeah, I think this is a film that's going to spark conversations. And again, I think this is a world that I think this is a story that could have easily been a TV show, or at least like kind of an extended not that and that's I know that it doesn't have to be that, but I think this could have easily been expanded and would have been enjoyable as like a limited series or whatever.
Well, I mean, you can see the similarities in something like Handmaid's Tale. Right?
Yeah, of course, right?
Yeah.
I mean. And I think that is one. I think maybe will be a good thing for distribution of this film, but I also think it can be kind of a detriment to like where you have comparisons to things that are already wildly popular.
Yeah, but again, I think this is separate because
I does think it says. I does think it says.
I does think DIFF films do.
I talk DIFF now. See, that's the thing. Do DIFF talk?
do Jason talk?
Yeah, and Jason do not talk. Do.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it has been like 7 straight days that we have been.
I am tired of talking, to be quite honest.
Dude, I know.
And but it's been very fulfilling. But
yeah, and again, thanks to the folks at DIFF for letting us hang out and go talk to people.
Yeah, and providing all the information, and that's great. And then thanks to all the filmmakers that gave us access to screeners. Thanks to all the free people that came out to talk about it. Yeah,
they were all such a treat to sit and talk to.
Yeah,
too. I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off, but I want to make sure that the people we talk to know how much we love them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we've had a lot of like what you'll hear in the interviews. We had a lot of great post-interview conversations that nothing that was like anything other than just an additional extension. Although there were one or two interactions that were particularly funny, but
yes. But yeah, everybody like sat with us and kept talking after like the recording was done, which again was they didn't have to do that.
Very lovely.
None of them had to do that. None of them had to talk to us.
But yeah, so the last point I wanted to say about Motherland is I do think you'll probably see this one quicker. So keep an eye out for this one later in the year. And I will say this: this is a film you want to go support at the theater when it hits the theater. So once it does get distribution, I think we watched it on a computer screen. I'd like to see this because I think the visuals are interesting. I think cinematography.
I think the tones and color palettes really cool.
I'm excited to see this on the big screen as well. And I think he was talking about Zinnia this is her first film coming straight out of USC's film school. I think she was really wonderful. I think all of the girls were really great. I thought, and I don't remember. I don't know if you're even supposed to remember all their names, if we even learned them or not. I'm sure we did.
Yvonne is the one who was also pregnant and who died, or who they killed. Oh shit! I guess I shouldn't say that. Well, I won't tell you how.
Whoopsies.
But I thought Yvonne was good too. That was really the only. Okay. I feel like that was the only other name that we really got. Like,
Can I ask you a question just about so Cora was looking for her daughter the entire time, right?
Well, no.
Okay. So what was the whiteboard at the beginning of the film then? Not the whiteboard, but the whole the whole kind of where she had the girls' pictures posted up and she would cross them out.
Oh, maybe I didn't. Oh, I guess she was then.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't catch that.
Okay.
No, you're right. Yeah. But that's weird because they're never supposed to be. Because they were talking. Like Nestor Carbonell says, like, we're not supposed to be in the same region.
Right.
We're never supposed to, even that should never ever happen.
Right.
So yeah, I guess I didn't catch that at the beginning. Wow.
That's why we need to watch it.
Maybe I don't watch films as closely as I thought.
You need to do Film Stiff.
Yeah, everyone listening's like, yeah, no shit, Brock. We knew this already.
All right, kids. Well, that puts a wrap on Driving While Screaming.
Yeah. Until the summer.
Until late June.
With another version of.
And hell, you're going to get home before 11 tonight, so.
Yeah, close. Right. Boy, man, that's the first in a while. It's been like 1:30 every night.
Oh Jesus, I don't even want to talk about it.
And I get up and
I feel bad.
No,
not bad enough to not let you come and pick me up.
No, I was gonna say, yeah.
But I still feel bad.
Yeah, I still came to get you. So, so we'll start posting those interviews probably starting next week, like Monday. We'll do like a Monday, Wednesday type thing. They'll come at you every couple days.
Yep, and then
along
like
with our regular nonsense.
Right, we've got. We'll be doing additional films from DIFF for a little bit. We've got a few more screeners we need to get through. We've got a few more interviews we'll get through as well.
Yes, we'll be talking to the people behind the film The Confession.
Yes, and then probably Night in West Texas as well. I'm sorry. To Use a Mountain, I think we'll be talking to them. That's a documentary, and then we might talk to a few other ones. I still want to watch Linda and see, and maybe get in touch with those people. But yeah, then before we get back to Kramer, we'll talk Sinners and The Shrouds, and
I forgot we watched that.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you were able to forget it because I certainly wasn't.
Didn't we watch like 4 or 5 movies that day too?
We did, and then we'll be talking about one last DIFF film, The Ugly Stepsister, probably be the last film that we talked about, which is a weird thing because we got a screener for that. And it played the first night, but it'll probably by the time we talk about it, most likely will already be out on Shudder or IFC. But we'll talk about 3 horror-related films, and then we'll probably get back to Kramer, and then who knows where we're going to. Then we'll go to the early aughts.
The early alts. The early alts. Yes. Don't bastardize Butcher Miley. Bastardization of Altman.
We do Altman diff.
We diff. We alt robs.
All right, kids. Thanks for screaming with us.
Yeah, everybody. Thanks for listening.
And keep screaming. You have been listening to Why Does the Wilhelm Scream with your hosts, Brock and Jason. If you liked today's episode, do us a favor and rate, review, and subscribe in whatever application you use to consume podcasts these days. You can reach us by visiting whydoesthewilhelmscream.com. If you are in the DFW area, we would love to see you at a Fort Worth Film Club event. You can learn more about those and find a full schedule at fortworthfilmclub.com. And you can learn about my foundation and how we are trying to foster the next generation of film lovers at realhousefoundation.org. That's REEL housefoundation.org. Till next time,